Hey guys, Ben here with a little bit of a preemptive apology. If you remember from my last Top 5 episode, the President's Day episode, Top 5 Favorite Fictional Presidents, I gave you one of these then about how my settings were off. My microphone was not the proper microphone. It was recording from my webcam and not my studio microphone. So the audio from myself sounded weird, and how I recorded 2 episodes that day under those settings. Well, this is that second episode. So I just wanted to record another little thing telling you I'm sorry that my audio quality sucks. So it's basically that. I mean, you can hear me, you can understand me, but I sound completely different than how Alex sounds. Alex Kruger sounds fantastic on this episode. And I could have very easily just talked to Alex and said, hey, we need to re-record. I had a settings mishap. But, as with Alex Baelish for the President's Day episode, it's just not fair. It was a great conversation. There would have been no way to actually recreate all of it. So I wanted to be fair to Alex and release this as it is. But like I was with the President's Day episode, I'm embarrassed because I've been doing this for over a decade. I should have known better. But lessons learned, technology sucks sometimes. I will be checking my settings full on every time I record going forward, but I just wanted to give you guys another little apology that my audio sounds different, not nearly as good as Alex's. Well done on Alex for using a studio microphone, for this episode. And well done for Alex. This was the first ever podcast he had ever done, and you'd never know it. He sounds fantastic. He's very coherent in his thoughts, very clear in his speech, and he is great. And I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit more in the Wilhelm post-credit after this episode. And please stick around for that because there was a lot of feedback this episode, which was amazing. And hopefully some of you listening right now are ones that send in that feedback, and you'll get to hear the feedback that you send in along with everybody else's. So once again, apologies for the audio quality. I promise it won't happen again, but here it is, this week's episode, Top 5 Favorite Baseball Movies. Welcome to Wilhelm. I am your host, Ben Beck, and with spring training now in full effect, baseball season up and coming, man, we're going to grab our mitts, we're going to take the field, and we're going to talk about our favorite baseball movies. I don't know why I haven't done this one earlier, but I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because it's been fun rewatching a bunch of these movies. And it's all thanks to my guest actually giving me the idea to do this episode. I've never podcasted with him before. He is a first-timer on Wilhelm, but I know he's a listener. Please welcome to the podcast, Alex Kruger.
Thank you, Ben. It is truly a pleasure to be here. I am a massive baseball fan. I have been counting down to spring training since the last pitch of the World Series, and having the opportunity to watch all these movies again is just, oh man, I'm rip-roaring and ready to go.
It's been a lot of fun rewatching a lot of these movies. And it's so funny how you said, once the World Series ends, you start counting down the days. It's almost the immediate reaction once the Super Bowl ends. Unless your team is the one that made it to the Super Bowl and wins, every other football fan is like, well, there's only so-and-so days until pitchers and catchers report. Everybody's automatically turning to baseball. And in the meantime, I'm like, guys, there's pucks moving back and forth on the ice. What are you complaining for?
That is the ultimate tug of war this time of year. It's hockey and basketball versus baseball. And I'm a Diamond guy, so I will not apologize. It's baseball season. I've been a baseball fan since probably 2006. First time I went to a Phillies game. My best friend, Matt Pupo, brought me down. And being in the stands and being able to heckle the New York Mets live in person, that's all it took for me. And I've been bleeding red and blue ever since. And I'm so excited.
I'm with you. You and I are both from the relatively the same area, so I am also a Phillies fan when it comes to baseball. So we do have that in common. And I've been to a couple milestone games. I was at one of Holiday's no-hitters, which was an amazing experience. When the first time the Phils made it to the World Series back a number of years ago, I actually had the opportunity to go to 2 of the playoff games and 1 of the World Series games, which was amazing opportunities. So, and you're right. There's just something about it's great watching it on television, but man, there's just nothing like being at the ballpark.
I couldn't agree more. So one of my other friends, Ken Ehrman, he let us use his seats this year, which top of the stadium, but right behind home plate, and having the ability to literally see if it was a ball or a strike horizontally. That's such a cool experience, and I think baseball translates to watching live in a way that not many other sports do. I would say hockey is extremely exciting live. Football, though, I've been to Penn State games. I've been to big football games, but baseball beats it every time.
I mentioned the puck going back and forth, and I've yet to do a top 5 favorite hockey movies, which I will at some point. But hockey is very exciting. It's very fast paced. There's a lot of physicality to it. Baseball, not as much physicality, but it can be very exciting in the fast pace of it. I went to one NFL game just to say that I went to one. And after I was there, and when I was done, I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to do this again. I'm okay. I'd rather watch at home.
Yes, football is much better served from the comforts of your own home. And because of the way the game is played, it's just better when you can zoom in and you're not standing, 300 feet away from all of the action that matters.
Yeah. It's, but there's something about baseball and being at a live game that even if you don't get the commentary and such, there's just something about being there with people that you know and having a cold beer in your hand or a cold soda in your hand, a hot dog or popcorn or just something in beautiful weather with like blue skies above you, the center city skyline behind you, like in front of you. Seeing that bell ring every time they hit one over the stands, like there's just something about being at a.
You are. You're getting me so excited.
But again, like baseball is also one of those things that like I have my team and that is my team. I'm a Phillies fan. I bleed red for the Phils. I don't care about any other team. The Phillies are my team, and that's it. That's that. I will not root for any other team. Phils are my team. Apologies to anybody out there who's not a Phillies fan.
I won't apologize for that, especially if they're a Mets fan. I'm the same exact way. Football, I can hang. I'm a Dolphins fan, so I don't have much to root for. So
I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. Neither do I.
All right, cool. So you get it. Yeah. But I can watch any random game. Fantasy's helped a lot with that. Same with basketball. If it's a good matchup, I'll watch it. But baseball, honestly, I don't care. If Shohei Ohtani is going up against Mike Trout, I couldn't care less. I'm sure I should watch it, probably. But somewhere, the Phils are on, and I'm going to watch that instead.
Well, that's how I am with hockey, too. Like, hockey, I love. When it comes to baseball, I love the Phils. When it comes to hockey, I love the sport. So you can give me tickets to any game. I will go watch that game.
That's
because
awesome.
I love the sport in general. But yes, there's just something about baseball that just invokes something in you. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of that comes out when you rewatch a lot of these movies.
Yes. I felt the same exact way. Like I said, I've seen a lot of these movies before 2006, but I didn't really get into baseball until 2006. But man, you start watching some of these classics and you're like, it's impossible not to be romantic about this sport. It's truly the best.
Yeah. I mean, in some of these movies in rewatching, like I look back at them and knowing that it's been a while since I'd seen them and just forgetting how great these movies are. And, in the research for this episode, there were a number of movies I hadn't seen yet that I got the opportunity to see for the first time. As a matter of fact, one movie, I'm not going to say which one it is, one of the movies that I watched for the first time is in my top 5.
That's fantastic. And I have a theory on which one it is. I do. But I'll hold off on that. I didn't have any newcomers this time around. But man, my honorable mentions definitely has some love from the newbies in the crowd.
Yeah,
There's so many good baseball movies, and I think the reason there's so many good baseball movies is because baseball is such a good storytelling vehicle. It's so easy to ragtag a team. It's so easy to deep dive into a character and do one of those that it's not necessarily afforded from other sports, or at least they just haven't figured out how to do it as well as baseball movies have.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the fact too that I know a lot of people are calling football America's pastime now, which it's not. Get over that real quick. Baseball will forever be America's pastime.
100%.
I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. So get the football out of here. I don't care.
Fantastic. I love it.
But what do you say? Let's dive into this list because I'm very excited to get into these. So for any of you listening right now, whether it's the first time or not, just to give you the heads up that there's always a possibility of spoilers because we will be discussing these movies a little bit. Not only that, but as per usual, neither Alex or myself have revealed our top fives to each other as to not influence each other in our choices. So I don't know any of Alex's. He doesn't know any of mine. And then once we go through the top five, we'll throw out a couple quick honorable mentions when we go through as well. So with that being said, let's kick off the list. What have you got for your number 5?
All right, so my number 5 probably changed 4 times depending on which movie I saw recently.
It rode the line between list and honorable mention.
It really did, and I'll take recency over primacy. I went with Hardball.
Keanu Reeves.
So, yeah. To those that don't know, it's about a degenerate, addicted gambler, Connor O'Neill, which is just a great name for Keanu Reeves to play. He's in a bit of a bind with a pair of bookies. So to settle his bets, he takes over coaching an inner city Chicago baseball team. Heartstrings are pulled, eyes get wet, and Keanu never says whoa.
It is the Mighty Ducks of baseball.
Yes, I agree.
In a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was one of the movies that I was kind of comparing. The Mighty Ducks meets The Wire, and you have Hardball.
Well, yeah, because Coach Bombay wasn't a bookie.
Right. It was just, an alcoholic.
He was an alcoholic, exactly.
He was. But, the things that really stood out to me, Keanu Reeves, he gives such a really good, desperate, and twitchy performance. And it's such a joy to watch. His ability to look completely disheveled for the first 4/5 of the movie is really impressive. And the scene in the beginning when he kicks his own ass, it's difficult to watch, but it's mesmerizing. And then his speech at the end, it might be some of the finest dramatic acting that Keanu has ever done. I mean, he reaches a new plane of existence there that I can't think of another role that he's done that with as far as dramatic roles go.
It's been a while since I've seen that too. And that one was on my list of ones I wanted to rewatch and just didn't get an opportunity because it has been a long time. But there is enough about that movie that I remember that it's making me not question that it's on a top 5.
100%. You got DB Sweeney coming back to the old baseball world.
DB Sweeney, who's actually been a guest on this podcast.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
yes,
man,
he has.
I got to tell you. So he's a great actor because I wanted to punch him so bad when he's being such a rules miser and he's such an asshole. And he plays it to perfection. And then another standout performance. At the time that I first saw the movie in theaters, I didn't know who the hell Michael B. Jordan was. But now looking back at this, one of his earliest roles, really a role that set up his role on The Wire, which will forever live in infamy as one of the most tragic deaths in TV. Seeing his early chops, you're like, yeah, no, he's fantastic. He has what it takes. Honestly, I watched a decent number of kids' baseball movies for this. This one has the best children actors. They are fantastic with their line delivery. I 100% buy into what they're selling me, and it's not awkward. It's not over the top. It's very realistic.
See, now you're making it that I know what I'm doing when we're done recording. Like, I'm going to continue my rewatch of baseball movies, and I'm going to start with Hardball.
It's so good. You can watch it on Amazon through Freevee. I learned that yesterday. But my MVP And I picked an MVP for every movie because it's a sports movie. So
Gotcha.
my MVP has to go to G Baby. I watched this with my partner Kara, and I struggled with doing this, but I didn't tell her about what happened at the end because there are some twists and some moments that you have to experience with fresh eyes.
Yes.
And oh God, the way that G Baby story ends and the way that they explain it and tell it rips your heart out, throws it on the ground, and stomps on it several times. I probably cried for the last 20 minutes intermittently because like it was so gut-wrenching and so hyper emotional.
Now I definitely am watching it when we're done. I'm definitely watching it when we're done.
It's an hour and 40 minutes of just good old-fashioned fun.
Yeah. So that's a good choice for number 5. That's a good way to kick off these lists.
Thank you.
So that was a good choice. Moving on then to my number 5. This is like similar to Hardball with you. This one is one that kind of rode the line between honorable mention and top 5. And it was between this movie and another movie as to which one was going to take the number 5. I kept going back and forth because they both have stuff in common with each other. And I was like, it just finally came down to, okay, if I had to choose one to watch right now, which one am I going to watch? And the one I chose was Rookie of the Year.
That's my number 4.
That's your number 4. Oh, perfect.
Fantastic.
So that kind of works out. Thomas Ian Nicholas, who I've actually met a number of times through working the shows. Gary Busey as Chet Stedman. You had Daniel Stern as Brickma and director of the movie. This movie is just so much fun to me and really evokes childhood.
Yes.
For me, you're talking about like this is a kid who, much like many of us who grew up as baseball fans, imagined we would always get that opportunity to play in the big leagues. Like something miraculous is going to happen that's going to get us noticed, and we're going to play, for the Phillies or whatever team it is. And it's something that legitimately happens to this kid in that he has the accident, the muscles tighten in his shoulder, which allow him, in his rotator cuff, which allow him to pitch at high speeds. And he lives the dream, he plays for the Cubs, and it's, God, there's so many great lines in this movie.
Yes.
The rest of the team, I can't remember. He's the janitor in Scrubs. Neil Flynn. Thank you.
Flynn. Trust me, he is one of the silent stars of the movie for me, just because he's Neil frickin' Flynn.
Yeah. But like this movie is so much fun. It invokes so many childhood memories for me in rewatching this movie. So much so that there's an upcoming episode of Wilhelm where we're talking top 5 favorite movies you never outgrow. And Rookie of the Year, I can tell you right now, is in my honorable mentions.
So the thing that put it in my top list, because I always knew I wanted to be there. It between Rookie of the Year, Angels in the Outfield, and The Sandlot, which to me was the Trinity. That was the kids' baseball Trinity for me.
And when I said it was going back and forth between another movie, it was The Sandlot.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So for me, it was between this and Angels in the Outfield. But first off, John Candy. So you get John Candy in a movie, I'm going to watch it. Second off,
that's right. He's the announcer.
He is the announcer.
That's right.
Yes.
He's the commentator.
So him and Daniel Stern hooking up again, first time since Home Alone. But I knew that if I put it on for my daughters, who are 9 and 5, I knew for a fact they would enjoy it, they would laugh, and that they would be invested in the ending. And holy shit, they were. Whether it's the simplest, stupidest moment where Henry first rotates his arm and he smacks the doctor, and the doctor goes, "Funky butt loving."
I still quote that constantly. Did he say funky butt loving?
I think he did. That one is it's so damn good. Every line that comes out of Daniel Stern's mouth cracks me the hell up. Whether it's hot ice, little help here. When he's stuck in any number of things, or go, just all of it. And Gary Busey, man, like as a kid, I didn't know that Gary Busey would grow up to be this version of Gary Busey, but damn, he is endearing. He is heartwarming, and he's got a little bit of charisma to him. So fantastic performance by him. So here's a fun little bit of trivia that I got from IMDb, because I thought it was really interesting. But Daniel Stern was inspired to direct this movie because it deals with kids who have to deal with fame and being controlled by adults as managers who make all their decisions for them, which he experienced a lot of on the set of Home Alone and Home Alone 2, observing how Macaulay Culkin was dictated by his domineering father and wanted to direct a movie that paralleled his real life observances. I think that is fascinating.
Yeah. There's so much, like, when you look behind the scenes of a lot of movies and stuff like that, you mentioned Home Alone, and, you mentioned John Candy, and, obviously John Hughes. This is kind of going off the topic for a little bit, but John Hughes, who was the director of Home Alone, and you mentioned Macaulay Culkin. It always takes me back to the story of how Macaulay Culkin got the role in Home Alone, and it's because of was it Robert Zemeckis, I think, was the one? Oh, no, it was because of John Hughes. Chris Columbus directed Home Alone. John Hughes directed Uncle Buck with John Candy, which also had Macaulay Culkin in it. There's a scene in Uncle Buck where he is talking to Buck through the mail slot. And John Hughes saw that, and when he found out that Chris was writing and directing Home Alone, he was taken to that scene and said, I think I have somebody who might be your star. And he recommended Macaulay because of that mailbox scene.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know how my mind went to that. You started talking about like Home Alone and Macaulay Culkin, so I was like, oh, I got to bring this up. Sorry.
I did not know that, so that was fantastic. That was good intel.
So, but yeah, that's great to hear about Daniel Stern too, because he's another one that I think I wish we would have seen more from him directing wise.
Yes, this was his only direction. This was the only movie he ever directed, and it's a fun romp, and it still holds up 30 years later.
It's a fun romp, and it holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts, including Thomas Ian Nichols.
Really?
He knows that he is. I mean, obviously, there's the American Pie movies as well, but he knows people know him as Henry Rowan Gardner, and he embraces that. So, that's great. And Daniel Stern is just a blast.
Yes.
In this movie.
I volunteered at my 5-year-old school today, and when I came in, she was doing the pitcher has a big butt, and I'm like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so damn proud of you.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, and actually, you talk about, again, another familiar actor from both Rookie of the Year and Home Alone 2 is Eddie Bracken.
Yes.
Who plays, he is the owner of the Cubs in Rookie of the Year, and in Home Alone 2, he's the owner of the toy chest, Duncan's toy chest.
Yes, and man, I love playing IMDb Connection and seeing those moments.
6 degrees, man.
100%. When he popped up on screen, I'm like, oh my god, this guy.
Yeah.
And he plays it fantastically, both aloof but yet very much still sharp. He's great.
Yeah. I'm glad. That's funny that's also on your list. So that was your number 4 too.
That was my number 4. So go right into yours, my friend.
All right. So my number 4. I mentioned a first time view of a movie that was going to ended up in my top 5. So in preparation for this, you and I had a conversation, and I mentioned a couple movies that I had seen for the first time. But you think you know which one it is?
I do.
Take a crack at it. Which one of the movies that we had discussed do you think is my number 4?
I think it's Field of Dreams.
It is indeed Field of Dreams.
I had a feeling it was Field of Dreams. Go for it.
And you know what's so funny about this too is Kevin Costner he's done 4 baseball movies over the course of his career. You've got Bull Durham, you've got Field of Dreams, For the Love of the Game, and there was one other one. I can't remember what the 4th one was.
I always forget the name of it, but yes, he does have another one. And
it was the last one that he did. I think 2013. I think is when it happened.
Right.
But regardless, Bull Durham was always a movie that I loved. But I don't want to talk about that. I felt like it was a personal atrocity as I was looking over baseball movies. I saw that you were watching Field of Dreams in preparation for this, and I was like, you know what? I've never seen it, and I know about it. I know what the movie is, what it is about. I know that if you build it, they will come. Like, I know the premise of the movie. So for some reason, it always just eluded me to actually sit and watch it. So I did. And funny enough, when I first started watching it, it was this guy and his family, they bought a farm, and then all of a sudden he starts hearing voices, and I'm like, why do people like this movie? This movie's just weird. I know what happens, but like it's weird. Like, why do so many people love this movie? And then as it gets more into it, and he starts going on the journey, and he goes to find Terrence Mann, played by James Earl Jones, and Terrence Mann starts hearing the voices and seeing the visions, and like all the ball players start coming out. I'm like, okay, I get this now. I get what this is. And then to see that the story wraps up with a boy and his father finally having a catch.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I get this movie now. I get why so many people love and admire this movie. And I couldn't believe that I went from within the first 10, 15 minutes wondering what the hell are people thinking to this movie needs to be in my top 5.
That's outstanding. That movie is not on my top 5.
Okay.
I enjoy the movie. I appreciate it for the cinema that it is. There are just some things I can't really get past. The number one thing that gets me is
Bring it on.
If my dad were to come out of a cornfield of mine to play baseball with me, the first thing he would say to me is, why the hell would you give up half of your profits just to satisfy a voice in the back of your head? You're so irresponsible. And that's why I love him. But I feel like it moves a little slow for me in some spots. And it doesn't have, I see it more as a life movie than a baseball movie, because there is no baseball game being played. There are no stakes. I
understand that. Yeah.
So for me, when I want to get into the mood for baseball, it's not really one I'm going to put on. When I want to get in the mood, to want to call my dad or to just feel something, I'll absolutely put Field of Dreams on. But for me, it didn't make my baseball list because there wasn't enough baseball in it.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it is only number 4 and it's not in my top 3. Because I look at my top 3 now, and my top 3 are definitely about the game.
100%.
So I totally understand that aspect of it, and how, because you're right, it is a very emotional movie, but it's not there's only one baseball game that happens in the entire movie, and you don't even get to see it. You just know they're playing it.
Right. You see Moonlight Graham's name more than you see any actual baseball being played.
Yeah, exactly. So it's because when they're at that game at Fenway, it's the camera's on them. It's not on the game.
Yeah.
And then even when you get to the farm and you find out, like, Shoeless Joe Jackson brought out more players so that it wasn't just practice anymore and they can actually play a game, you just heard about the game. You don't see the game.
Yes.
You don't get to watch the game happen. You're looking at Kevin Costner and Amy Madigan, and the daughter, more than you're looking at anything else. I will say, though, one of my favorite moments of the movie is Timothy Busfield's character, which is Annie's brother, he's constantly hassling him about selling the farm, and you need to sell the farm. You gave up all your profits, and he's walking through the field because he doesn't see it. And then there's that moment where Annie falls off where Karen falls off the bleachers, and Moonlight Graham walks out and becomes the doctor and saves her life. And Timothy Busfield's like, where'd all these baseball players come from? And right before he goes in the house, he's like, don't sell the farm. Don't sell the farm. Like, he just does a complete quick turnaround. And it made me laugh because I just found that scene very, very humorous.
Busfield will always be a gem to me. He's fantastic. I love him in everything he does. That's another reason I have an issue, because they make him a bad guy for the first 90 minutes of the movie, and I love him too much. But I will say, the Moonlight Graham plot line, that one gets me every single time.
Yeah.
Just really having to look in the mirror and say, okay, what is more important to me? Is it that dream of playing that game that I've had since I was a kid? Or is it making an impact and truly saving lives and being more than just a ball player? And he knows in that moment what the right answer is, and he sacrifices the game to be the true hero. And I just, man, that one gets me because he doesn't even care after.
But
after
even more than that, he had the at bat.
Yes, that's
you
true.
know, that he got what he wanted. He got the actual opportunity to step up to the plate and have his at bat. So he accomplished what he wanted to do.
That's true.
The one thing he wished he never got to do, the one thing he never got to do that he always wished he could, he did it. So he was able to make the sacrifice and walk away from it all.
That's a great point. That is a great point. No, that movie is fun. That movie's a fun one.
So, with that being said, let's dive into the top three then. Number 3 on your list.
All right. Number 3 is probably the first baseball movie I ever fell head over heels with. It's Major League.
Okay.
To those that don't know, Major League is in a lot of ways a spiritual predecessor to Ted Lasso, or at least season 1 of Ted Lasso.
Yes. In that, when I first started watching Ted Lasso, I thought the same exact thing. I was like, oh, this is Major League, just with soccer.
Right. Because it in that aspect, it was. The ex-wife / widow of the team owner takes over the team, wants them to do so poorly that, in Major League's case, she could move them from Cleveland to Miami, and puts together just an absolute ragtag group of guys that in any other world would be nowhere near the field. And then, damn it all to hell, just to spite her, they start winning. And they start to become the kind of team that you want to watch. And then you look at the cast list and you look at the characters. And
so good.
It's so good. You got Charlie Sheen, arguably right towards his peak. I mean, this is right before Hot Shots, but right after, so like Wall Street and all that. And he was a real pitcher. So in real life, he could get into the low 80s, took some steroids, and then got himself into the high 80s for the movie. God love him. But he's a surprisingly earnest character, even with the haircut and the earrings, and just he doesn't have a bad scene in the entire flick. And you could say the same exact thing for Wesley Snipes.
Yes.
Stephen Will, he's so much fun to watch. Every single line he has and every delivery he has, it leads to a gut-busting laugh. He is top notch. Fun fact: he is a horrible athlete. In both this movie and White Man Can't Jump, they really had to edit around his athleticism because it didn't exist. So you'll notice watching the movie, he's never running at full speed. It's always a slow motion shot because he's not fast. And
because even when he runs in his pajamas, it's in slow motion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good call.
He never throws the ball because he had a terrible throwing motion. But as a kid seeing it, I had no idea, and he crushed it. Another one, I know you'll appreciate this, Corbin Burnson.
Mm-hmm.
He is such a Weasley little prick in this film, but his character's redemption arc over this film and the other 2 Major Leagues, he becomes such a lovable character, and he is the reason I tuned into Psych. Dule Hill always, but when I saw that Corbin was playing the dad, I was like, all right, I gotta see what the hell this show is all about, because he really won me over, and I love him so much.
Corbin is Roger Dorn is. I've never seen Major League 3, so I've never seen Back to the Minors.
It's got Walter Goggins in it.
It's got Walton Goggins in it?
It does.
Now I need to watch it.
Him and Scott Bakula. Come on.
Wait, so is Corbin Burnson in 3?
He sure is.
Okay, so he's Roger Dorn in that movie too. See, and that's my thing. Like, I don't want to say too much because Major League does fall in my top 3, and I'm going to save most of my thoughts for it for when it happens, or for when we get to it. But my biggest issue actually with Major League 2 was Roger Dorn, because in the first movie, you're right, he's this stuck-up, prissy, but good baseball player. And in Major League 2, I feel like they kind of dumbed him down a little too much. They made him more comic relief than anything else. Like his reactions, reactivating himself, is it too early for a Roger Dorn night? Like they made him more moronic and slapstick in the second movie, which I feel like really took away from the character of Roger Dorn.
I think that's a great point. Actually, you're right. They definitely neutered him for the second film.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. It's been a long time since I've seen Major League 3. I don't recall
How he is in that movie.
his arc there, but he always makes me laugh. I will say that. So other characters, Serrano. I mean,
Dennis Haysbert.
Dennis Haysbert. I imagine he was brought up in your president's podcast earlier today.
He was in my honorable mentions list. For 24. Yep.
Yes. He probably has some of the best lines in the entire movie.
Pedro Serrano.
He's so good. He's so funny. And one of the trivia bits that I love the most is in that final game when he hits the home run off the curveball finally. He was so elated and so excited, Dennis Haysbert was, that he forgot to drop the bat. That wasn't scripted. That was a complete accident. He was running around the bases.
Really?
Yes. He was so excited to finally hit to hit that home run that he didn't even think about it. Just carried. And I remember watching that scene the first time as a kid. I'm like, oh man, this guy's badass. Why doesn't everyone carry the bat with them as they go around the bases? But I love him. I love him.
Yeah. Pedro Serrano, I think, is one of my favorite characters, both in 1 and 2.
Yes.
Because he does have a number of great quotable lines. I think more so in 2, actually, than in 1. But he definitely has some, like when he's like, help me now, Jobu? Or no, help me now? Fuck you, Jobu. Like, it's...
Even hats for bats. I mean, I use hats for bats constantly.
Yeah. But I mean, even in Major League 2, when he's, look at the scoreboard now, Grasshopper, and... that last pitch, man, that was beautiful. And then he hits the home run. He's like, not as beautiful as that, though. He's so good.
He is. Lou Brown, the manager. I always forget the name of the actor.
James Gammon.
Thank you, James Gammon. But any grizzled baseball manager that sounds like he just smoked an entire carton of Camel non-filters and washed it down with wild turkey, that's my guy. That's who I want leading this exact team. And he's got great lines, I'm gonna have to call you back. I got a guy on the other line waiting on white walls. Like, that's fantastic.
Dude, when he takes Roger Dorn's contract and throws it on the field and just takes a piss on it, like, I'm like, yes, like, that's a baseball manager. That's what I want out of a baseball manager.
100%.
I don't give a shit.
Amen.
It's so good.
And I'm not going to say anymore. I'm going to save it for when it gets to your spot.
Okay.
I have a few more, but I don't want to take all of it there. So,
okay, no, that's fine. That's fine.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is more of a serious movie, but I think is just absolutely fantastic, and that's Moneyball.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, written by Aaron Sorkin, which,
Damn right it is.
who was one of the writers on it, who did The West Wing and American President and Newsroom, so many great things. And he, seeing him do a baseball movie, I was skeptical because he's good at politics. But this really does kind of dive into that a little bit because this is the politics of baseball. It is obviously the mathematics of baseball as well that's why it's called Moneyball. But I think Jonah Hill's performance in this movie is fantastic. I think Brad Pitt is absolutely amazing. We get a very early Chris Pratt, Philip Seymour Hoffman before he sadly passed away. I don't really know how much I can kind of dive into this movie. There's just something about this movie that, while it's great seeing a baseball movie where you get to see the game, Major League or Hardball or Rookie of the Year, where you're seeing a lot of the on-field stuff. This was just a very interesting kind of twist or take or viewpoint in seeing baseball from behind the scenes, seeing how the teams are managed, and taking a movie, where you say like, oh, I'm going to write a baseball movie. Great. It's about the management of the baseball. Why? Like, who wants to see that? And then you watch it and you're like, yeah, this is actually engaging. Seeing like multiple phone calls for trades and how the money aspect works into everything and making it dramatic. And there was something about it that just captivated me it was almost like seeing science of baseball, like the science of baseball.
100%. It's I'm a math nerd. I love statistics. That's one of the things I love the most about baseball is it's rife with statistics, and the way that Sorkin is able to explain sabermetrics in a way that is digestible and in a way that makes sense to a viewer that doesn't really have too much familiarity with it, but the way and that's part of what I love the most about Jonah Hill is his ability to deliver those sabermetric breakdowns in such a way that is so relatable. You feel like you're getting an inside look. You feel like you're going behind the scenes of what actually happens. The conversation that Billy has with David Justice, where David's like, look, man, what do you want from me? You're paying me $7 million to be here, and Billy's like, no, man, I'm paying you 3.5. The Yankees are paying you 3.5 not to play for them. I think that's subtle nuance, and that everyone just gets off their high horse and comes together for a greater good. Is what makes it so good. And then you still have the romantic part of chasing the 20 game streak. And, can this group that had no business doing anything achieve something that no other club in the AL ever has?
You still get the underdog story.
You absolutely do. To the extent that they have an 11-0 lead in the fourth and then pitch it away over the next 5 innings. It still stakes. And, to anyone that is even the littlest bit, the tiniest bit superstitious or even a little stitious, you understand what Billy's going through, and you understand like, no, he's already blaming himself for them giving up this lead, for them not being in this position. And I love this movie. It is one of my favorite straight up movies, not just baseball movies. I could watch it any time of the year.
And you mentioned the superstition aspect of it all too, about how, Billy, like, he doesn't want to watch the game because in his mind, it doesn't matter if he stays now or if he leaves, he's already jinxed it. Like it's done. So leaving now isn't going to fix anything. So he just sits in a locker room with his head hanging until he hears that crack.
Oh man,
and he looks up, and that's Scott. That's Chris Pratt's character that actually gets that hit.
Yes.
And gets that home run and secures the lead. But yeah, you're right. Like what is probably going through his mind throughout that entire thing, because his daughter was the one that told him, you're not going to jinx the game if you go. And he goes, and what happens? As you mentioned, they blow an 11-0 lead to almost lose that game and blow that streak. Now, they had already set a record at that point, but they wanted to go further.
Absolutely.
And get that 20th game streak. But 100%. I will tell you one of the things about this movie that I really love and I kind of take in is the fact that now, as a baseball fan, anytime you hear about player trades in actual MLB, like with the Phils, like who they're bringing in and who they're sending out with draft picks or, with such, like, I have so much more respect for that now and a little bit more understanding when it comes to that.
To really figure out and understand and see the business that it is. When they have to send Magnante down because they just got Ricardo Racone, you do feel bad for Billy, but you understand you can't have one too many guys in the locker room. Someone's got to go somewhere. And it sucks, but it gives you such an appreciation for how hard that job has to be. And honestly, the fact that and this is my number 2 movie, so I'm gonna.
Oh, is it? Okay,
it absolutely is. I love this movie. But the fact that Billy doesn't really have a prayer. I mean, he has to come up with a roster for $40 million, whereas the big boys have $120 million to spend. I mean, nowadays that number is skyrocketed, but even still, the small market teams had to find a way. And Billy did. Billy found a way to break out and win in a way that wasn't being done yet. And not for nothing, though he never did win that final game of the season, I think it's so important that he brought sabermetrics into the fold and that we all look at baseball in a different mindset and with a different hat on. I love that.
Well, not only that, but then when you realize that other teams started to do what he did with the Oakland A's, and it actually led some of those teams to win World Series championships. And on top of the fact that you mentioned the budget that he had that other teams didn't have, he had a fraction of it. He was actually working up trying to work up two steep hills at the same time, in that he was working with a smaller budget, smaller than anybody else had, and he had to put together a team that was going to perform after losing one of the players that was arguably one of the best players in the league, and that was Giambi.
Yep.
He had to have a fraction of a budget to replace arguably one of the biggest players in the league.
100%.
It was, he was working, he had so much working against him that for him to pull off what he did was just unbelievable.
It was. Now let me ask you a question. Was this the first dramatic role that you saw Jonah Hill in?
Yes.
Okay. Was it the first dramatic role that you saw Chris Pratt in?
I think so.
It was for me as well. And,
I think it was.
It's the first time I was watching, I was like, all right, when's Jonah Hill going to do the funny thing? When's he going to do that funny thing he always does?
Mm-hmm.
But he blew me away with how restrained and how reserved his performance is, and the subtle nuances. This movie was, and I mean, a lot of people say this, but this is when I really saw what kind of actor he was going to be. He wasn't just going to be the heavyweight sidekick with the foul mouth. He had legitimate, true chops. And the same could be said for Chris Pratt. I knew him from Parks and Rec, and he was so damn funny. And then, I see him, and he's still funny. He's humorous, but you really feel the anguish when he thinks that his career's over, and then he gets a lifeline, and then has to figure out how to play baseball. His line delivery of, when David Justice says to him, like, so, what are you thinking of when, what are you afraid of? It's like a ball being generally hit in my direction. Like that exchange cracks me up every single time. And I'm curious to know which of their dramatic performances impressed you more.
Between the two of them,
mm-hmm.
I think Jonah Hill. I think Jonah's performance, only because we got more of it.
Yeah, that's true. He had a much meatier role.
He had a much meatier role. Chris Pratt was really a minor player in this movie.
That's true.
Yeah, I think Jonah Hill's performance was a bigger performance than Chris Pratt.
There's two surprise cameos in this movie, and actually three. And I'm curious to see which one you think is the coolest of the three. So first, you have Spike Jonze as the new husband of Billy's ex. So the very soft-spoken techie guy.
Oh, I don't remember Spike Jonze. I don't remember him being in it.
Yes. So Billy's ex-wife has the new husband who gets the daughter the cell phone, and Billy's kind of cantankerous about it. But he's really nice. He doesn't really know much about baseball, but he's kind of a nerd. But yeah, Spike Jonze plays him.
Okay.
Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard, plays the CEO of the Athletics.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
So random. But I love it. And then the one that I found out today that really blew me away is the guy that plays the CEO for the Red Sox is played by the same gentleman who plays Adult Smalls in The Sandlot.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Nor did I. That one.
I didn't see any of these cameos.
Yes. So the Spike Jonze one was the one I always knew. And then doing research for this, I found the other two. I'm like, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
That's great. I didn't even know those cameos were in there. So, all right, cool.
I think I didn't
realize that. Yeah. That was cool that Moneyball was also in your list, though, and also and your number two.
Yes, it was almost number one until I rewatched number one, and I was like, "This is a no-brainer for me."
It makes me very curious what your number one is. It really does.
I don't think you'll expect it, so this should be good.
Okay, all right. So then my number two is a little bit of a cheat. My number two is Major League and Major League 2.
I like it.
I had to put them together because I love both of these movies. Major League 2 is a little goofier than Major League 1, but, and like I said, my only issue with Major League 2 is the dumbing down of Dorn. But other than that, I mean, you get all of these characters coming back in for the return, and even a couple of newer characters. You have Rube coming in as the catcher, taking over for Tom Berenger's character, And it's still that underdog feeling because the owner comes back and rebuys the team from Roger Dorn and is putting them through their paces again. But and this time we see them go a little bit further. But what I did like about Major League to Major League 2 is the fact they kind of changed the focus a little bit on who the lead character was.
Yeah.
Major League, while Rick Vaughn and Willie Mays Hayes were primary characters, Jake Taylor was the main character of that team. He was the one that was going through the romantic strife. He was the one that was going through being towards the end of his career. And then it kind of shifts to Rick in Major League 2. Jake kind of takes a little bit of a backseat, becoming the coach of the team, taking over for Lou because Lou has a heart attack. And kind of takes, is kind of out of it for a little bit. And Rick becomes the main focus of everything. He's the one that's fighting with things that are happening in his career, not being able to find his fastball again. Not being able to find his fastball. He's got the relationship issues and that he's seeing a woman who doesn't respect him and he's rekindling a relationship that he had. The only thing that confused me is when did that relationship happen?
I've always wondered that. I'm guessing. I have no idea. Maybe it happened in the background of season 1. Maybe it happened in the off season. But I've often wondered that as well.
I think it's in between 1 and 2 because, because if you remember in the beginning of Major League, he's in prison.
Yes.
So, but then in Major League 2, when she gives him back his jacket, she says, you left this, and he says, I apologize, I didn't call you back during the off season. So there's a part of me that wants to think that this relationship was actually happening during Major League 1.
That would make sense because
towards the end,
he was in jail in California because he said last team it was the California Penal League.
California Penal League,
Cleveland. So you would have to imagine that he knew her from the Cleveland area.
Yeah. So I think this maybe happened towards the tail end of 1. And then kind of led into the in-between. Because Major League 2 happens, it's the following year.
Right.
After they win the pennant in the first movie. But you mentioned a lot of these actors and who they play. You mentioned Dennis Haysbert, mentioned James Gammon, Corbin Burnson, Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen. There's one character, though, that I don't think these movies would have been the same without.
This is the one I held back on.
And that is Bob Uecker, Harry Doyle.
A bit outside. Oh my God.
It is his calling of the game when they're playing horribly, but he is trying so hard to make it believable that they're just slightly missing to the listeners at home.
Yeah.
It is so well done. Bob Uecker, I think, is the highlight of both of these movies.
I could not agree more.
I don't think these movies would have been nearly as good without Bob Uecker.
100% agree. He is now. Did you know he was a baseball announcer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did know that.
Yes. So and when you go into it knowing that, you're like, all right, this makes a lot more sense because he has the flow, he understands the nuance, he does great color commentary, and then when he's getting drunk in the booth in the first one and just ready to off himself, he is so damn funny. Every line that comes out of his mouth is pure gold. And
I love, there's the dynamic change that happens with his character, too, because in the first one, as I mentioned, with the commentary, he's trying so hard to make it seem like they're really trying their best. And then in Major League 2, there's one point where he basically just gives up.
Yep.
He's like, I can't seem, this part of the game is sponsored by, who gives a shit? He's so damn funny in both of these movies that I've said it already, they would not have been the same without him.
100%. And he does have so many good quotables. And there are so many good quotables between both of the movies. When Lou Brown is in the hospital, trying not to have a heart attack, but he's listening to the game in his ear. Every time I watch a British show and I'm thoroughly enjoying it, I go, I love this British shit. Just because of Lou Brown. And he cracks me up. And then Tanaka.
I love this shit and I may move to England.
Fantastic. I thought Tanaka Tanaka was a great addition in 2 because it really gave Pedro someone to play off of in a way that was less adversarial than in the first movie. And Tanaka will forever give the Phillies our "you have no marbles" chant that we used all last year. And just when they started doing that, I was like, all right, this is my team. I mean, if it was ever in question before. And he survives for the third movie as well. Tanaka and Pedro come back for the third movie.
Oh, Pedro comes back for the third movie too.
Yes, he does.
I know Harry Doyle is also in the third movie. I know Bob Uecker reprises the role in the third movie, but I didn't know that Pedro and Tanaka are also in 3.
Yes,
I might have to watch.
I'm going to sell you on that movie at some. I'm going to sell you on that movie at some point, just to give it one try. That's all you need.
All right. I mean, hey, again, I already said I'm going to watch Hardball when we're done with this. So
that's true.
You know, I'm willing to give it a shot.
Now, 2 things about the movie that I always found interesting. One was, you know, I've seen Major League on TBS at least 11 trillion times. So watching it on DVD and actually hearing all the swear words as they were intended to be said, it was a bit jarring at first. Now, there were only 22 F words in this movie.
Only?
Only, sure. But I feel like there weren't many gratuitous ones. The ones with, you know, some of the best deliveries with those F words, they're fantastic. And I had to give that a shout out.
That's great.
And then one of the biggest culturally significant things to happen from this movie, at least from the first one, was because of Wild Thing Vaughn walking out to Wild Thing, starting in the early 90s, MLB closers started walking out to closer music. That wasn't a thing before Major League. And that's so cool. When you can actually change the way the game is played because of a super low but fun comedic movie, that's amazing.
Well, not only that, but a lot of, going to Phillies games, as I have before, a number of the players had their own intro music.
Absolutely.
When stepping up to the bat, they all have their own intro music now.
Oh, for sure. And, a moment that still gives me chills is last year when Bryson Stott hit the grand slam against the Marlins and his intro music stopped, but the crowd kept singing it.
Mm-hmm.
That gets me every time.
And I forget, I remember now that I said it, but like even now that whole Wild Thing has reigned throughout pop culture so much that I don't know if there's any wrestling fans that are listening or if you're one, but Jon Moxley in AEW now uses Wild Thing as his entrance music.
No kidding.
And he uses that version from Major League as his entrance music.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool. That's fantastic.
And the audience sings along with it just the same way they do in Major League. It's great.
Nice. I'm glad that you included both major leagues because I thought about doing that and I was like, no, I'm just going to stick with one. So I'm glad you gave us an opportunity to talk about.
Well, because when off initial thought about it, and I was like, well, like Major League 2, I think I like better than Major League 1. And then the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, but there's so much great stuff in Major League 1. I don't know if it's better than Major League 2. So I ended up watching both of them yesterday.
Nice. Back
to back. And when I was done, I was like, they kind of go from one into the next. So it is kind of one continuous story in a way. The only other thing we didn't mention, too, is that Wesley Snipes is the only character that does not come back and is instead played by Omar Epps, who, humble brag again, Omar Epps has actually been on this podcast.
Oh.
And I got to talk to him about Major League 2 and coming into that role of Willie Mays Hayes in the second movie. Yeah.
He was a really good Willie Mays Hayes. I mean, he wasn't Snipes, but I don't think he necessarily tried to be. He tried to be his interpretation of Willie Mays Hayes, and I thought he did fantastic with it.
Yeah, I had Omar on a couple years back when that TV show, when the TV adaptation of the movie Shooter was on USA. Okay. He came on to promote that.
Nice.
So I got to talk to him about Major League.
Nice.
About Major League 2. So, and he was very engaging. He actually enjoyed talking about it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Nice.
All right. That takes us into our number one movies on the list. I'm very curious what yours is going to be. So, bring it on.
It was between Moneyball and this, and I knew that the whole time going into it, and then I started watching it, and within 10 minutes, I looked over at Kara. I'm like, yeah, no, this is number one, and that is for love of the game.
Okay.
I adore this movie. It is by far my favorite Costner baseball movie. It is such a, so many movies try to jam so much of a season of, a career into a movie. It's one game. This is one game. It's some of the best baseball that you see on screen in a movie. And Kevin Costner's windup is it's heavenly. It is. He has such a good windup. Have you seen?
I have seen it. It has been a while since I honestly want to say I don't know if I've seen it since the time it came out.
Okay.
But I do know, I know it's Kevin Costner. I know it's Kelly Preston, John C. Reilly, and weirdly enough, it's directed by Sam Raimi.
It is directed by Sam Raimi.
For anybody who doesn't know, directed Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, directed the Evil Dead movies. He's more of a horror director.
100%.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yes. So essentially, just to set it up, he is a 40-year-old World Series champion, 3-time Cy Young winner, has to decide if he would rather retire as a Detroit Lion, the only pro team he's ever played for, or hang on to his career, betrayed to San Francisco by the new team ownership. So while he's pitching his final game of the season and possibly his career, the last 5 years of his life flash before his eyes, and he comes to grip with the one thing that matters to him other than baseball, and the fact that that's slipping away too. So Kelly Preston plays Jane. She's this writer, articlist for Elle magazine. He meets her on the side of the road before a Yankees game, and he is just enamored with her. And while he's pitching this perfect game, it's telling the story of their relationship and all the different times that he chose baseball over her, or that she had an issue with his level of fame, his level of notoriety, and just how it did not work for so long for them until they finally are able to be in a position where it can work. And it's a really beautiful love story in that it's surprisingly realistic. The stakes at play for both Jane and Billy Chapel, Kevin Costner's character, and then also the beauty of the perfect game. This movie made me fall in love with pitching, to be perfectly honest, and just the power of what a perfect game takes, and after the movie, I read a great book called 27 Men Out by Michael Coffey. And I've been in love with the idea of a perfect game ever since. A pitcher doesn't lose once all game. They need precision to never have a bad placement, to keep guys guessing. There really is nothing more impressive to me in professional sports than spending 2 hours defeating all 27 opponents that are put in front of you. It's the coolest thing. And naming the cast, you're right. Costner, as always, is great in baseball movies. Kelly Preston aces her role. John C. Reilly, as the catcher, he was just funny enough without trying to be funny that his character is phenomenal.
John C. Reilly has some really good dramatic acting chops that he doesn't show off enough.
Absolutely.
You look at, obviously, you look at some of the movies like Step Brothers and Talladega Nights where he plays his humorous roles, but you have also movies like this and Days of Thunder where it's a dramatic role for him, and you are actually surprised when you are watching because you're expecting this drag out idiotic comedy and you're not getting it. You're actually getting legitimate acting.
100%. He just finished a role as Lakers owner Jerry Buss in the HBO show Winning Time. Phenomenal. He has some really good dramatic scenes in there. So I can't recommend that enough. Do you remember who played the manager of the Detroit Tigers?
Is it J.K. Simmons?
J.K. Simmons. This is the first time he was partnered up with Sam Raimi before the Spider-Man movie.
Before the Spider-Man movies, yeah.
And he's a lifetime Detroit Tigers fan, which is great. So I thought that was really cool. And then the thing that really lends its credence and that to me pushes it over the top. And we've talked about Bob Uecker, we've talked about John Candy. I can't not bring up Vin Scully.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I watched this movie so many times, and I think they just told him, like, here's the general gist of what's going on in a baseball game. We don't have any lines for you. Just do your Vin Scully thing. And he did it.
Yeah.
Because it sounded so authentic to his voice. There are few baseball broadcasters that you hear them and you're like, yep, I know. There was Harry Callis.
Harry Callis, yep.
Harry Callis, Bob Uecker, Vin Scully. Honestly, I hate to say it, Joe Buck. He's not a bad
no.
I know. My sister's going to kill me for bringing up his name.
Nope.
I know. That's fair.
I do not like Joe Buck.
No, I get that. I do. But Vin Scully, he's just so good. He's so good in this role, and elevates it.
God, who's the one that Will Ferrell makes fun of? Does an impression of
Harry Carey.
Harry Carey.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey.
So one of the things I always look for the realism in these movies, and so Costner's character Billy Chappell going into the final game, he's got an 8-11 record in 30 games, a 3.5 ERA. And I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, those aren't terrible stats. 3.5 ERA over 30 games. That's not terrible. And then you get to the 111 to 98 strikeouts to walks. I'm like, oh, okay, this is why the 40-year-old needs to retire. I appreciated that. And then I guess one more fun fact from it: when Costner was originally pitching it to George Steinbrenner, at the time owner of the Yankees, Steinbrenner was like, no, I don't like this. The Yankees lose in the end. I'm not going to let you use the stadium. And then Costner explained to him, like, no, this, it has no outcome difference. The Yankees are still going to win the division the next day. It's just, this is this guy's story, his last go at it. So Steinbrenner said, okay, and let him do the movie. The Yankees won the World Series that year, and Steinbrenner sent Costner a World Series ring.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
That's really cool.
Right. Like first off, of course, Kevin Costner is going to convince George Steinbrenner to let him do it. But then Steinbrenner is going to have a very class act after that. So that's all I have for Moneyball. It is my number one, and I'm sure plenty of people will disagree. I don't care.
You mean for love of the game?
For love of the game. I sure do mean for love of the game. That's right.
No, that's great. And I certainly don't have nearly that much information about my number one. But I love the fact that you brought a lot of that with you in the discussion. And For Love of the Game is one of those movies that, like, I in all the movies that I rewatched, because I was with you, I rewatched a lot of baseball movies in preparation for this. Because for just a little behind the scenes stuff, while this episode isn't, while the other episode is already out by the time you're hearing this, the other episode has already been out for a little bit. I recorded 2 episodes, and I recorded this one with you right now. Earlier in the day, I recorded the top 5 favorite fictional presidents, which is already out. And between preparing for both of these episodes to record today, I watched a lot of baseball and presidential movies.
Absolutely.
But I think I watched more baseball than presidential movies, because presidential movies, like I had a number of my top 5 were already there in my head. I just needed to rewatch 1 or 2 to kind of hone it in. This one, there were so many options that I knew there were ones I needed to rewatch. So while I watched Field of Dreams for the first time, afterwards I went and I watched Bull Durham, because I was like, okay, I always loved Bull Durham, but now that I've seen Field of Dreams, is it better than Bull Durham? I need to rewatch Bull Durham in order to get that. I watched both Major League 2 movies, because of that. I watched Moneyball again. I watched Rookie of the Year. I watched The Sandlot. I watched so many movies. I watched 42, which you and I were talking about before we started recording. However, my number one, I did not rewatch because it was solid. It was a movie that I know I did not need to rewatch, because oftentimes when I put together my top 5s, my number one is almost always a given. And it's just 2 through 5 that I really have to kind of hone in and fix and decide. But my number one, I can tell you, when I chose this as my number one, I didn't cry about it, because there's no crying in baseball.
Awesome. What a great
And it's because my number one is A League of Their Own.
Nice.
It is. I adore this movie so much. I mean, it's an incredible story of a minority coming in, not in African American like Jackie Robinson in 42, but in women coming up and playing baseball and, taking the place of baseball players while husbands were overseas at war, and all of the things that they had to go through in overcoming the adversity that they're going through as well. But you look at this, in addition to the story, you had Penny Marshall, who was an amazing director for this movie, Gary Marshall, who's actually in the movie. You had Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, Lori Petty, John Lovitz, Rosie O'Donnell, Madonna, Lori Petty. Like it's a phenomenal cast. John Lovett's part is hysterical.
He steals the first 20. When I did rewatch A League of Their Own, and it was one of those that was in a 3-way tie for fifth on my list. In those first 20 minutes, he is such an important character to add some levity, and damn does he deliver on adding the levity.
He is so damn funny in this movie. He's John Lovitz in this movie. I love it.
Yes.
But I didn't bring as much to my number one as you did with your number one. But there's so many. I mean, obviously, the whole "there's no crying in baseball" is such an iconic line now when it comes to anything. Like when it comes to baseball in general, it is a line that so many people use, whether it's referencing the movie or referencing somebody just being a little baby when it comes to, this sport. But there's so many emotional moments in this too. Bill Pullman in this movie
Lone Star.
Lone Star. Bill Pullman is Dottie's husband. It's such a small role, but his character adds such a dynamic part of her story because he's away at war. And while they're traveling and playing these games, there are women on the team that are getting notices that their husbands are not coming home. And that adds the whole element to it, but you're already invested in Dottie Henson to the point that she's constantly worried about her husband. And then when her husband finally does come home and, you see that it's Bill Pullman, you get the same sense of relief that she does as a character.
100%. Yes.
So it's just such I love the story of this. I love that it's based on true events. My cat is meowing because my cat agrees with me.
Clearly.
So this was a solid number one on my list.
So because it's your number one, I feel like I can ask this question. You'll have an interpretation, but did Dottie drop the ball on purpose?
She dropped the ball. No,
okay.
She did it on purpose.
Okay. She gave it to Kit. She gave it to Kit.
Yes.
Okay.
I firmly believe she gave it to Kit because if you look at the science of it, when you are gripping something, and I know this because I'm currently rewatching CSI New York.
Okay.
So this has been mentioned a number of times that when you are gripping something and you are impacted or you are like something happens tragic, like to shock your body, that grip intensifies. So if she was hit while she was holding the ball, it would have had, for her to have dropped the ball, had to be intentional.
Okay. I don't know where I stand on this because I thought I was always in the firm camp of she gave her the win, but I think that's just because I'm a little brother and I would like to think my older brother would do that.
Uh-huh.
And I was an annoying little shit just like Kit growing up. So
you were no still little angel though.
There is that. that. No one is still well.
No.
But I don't know. I love that Gina Davis has never answered it. I think that is so perfect because there are so few true debates like that in cinema that having that one's a really good one.
I almost wonder if she doesn't know either. Like I think maybe even for them it was left up to interpretation.
I could see that. I could see that. Yeah,
so I don't know. It's but that is my belief. My belief is that it was done intentionally, and she gave Kit the win.
I like that. I do want to give a certain shout out to Madonna, and you know that Madonna was there to sell tickets, but other than one line, which I think is a poorly written line, anyways, she does a really good job as All the Way May.
I hate agreeing with you because I've kind of learned over as I've gotten older that the older Madonna gets, the less I like her.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Yes.
don't get me wrong. 80s and early 90s Madonna is prime
For sure.
prime Madonna. I
For
mean,
sure.
the definitive album, like, it's like that. Her music, even like looking at like Who's That Girl, which she did in the '90s with Griffin Dunn. I love that movie. I think she's great in that movie. But the older she got, and the more she got into her Buddhism religion, and I'm like, no, like, no. But I agree with you. She is actually really great in this movie.
She is, but I agree. She definitely gets way too drunk on her own Kool-Aid in the last 20 years.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think ever since she did the song for Austin Powers, it's just been downhill from there.
But I mean, even the song that she does for this movie, and this used to be my playground, is a great song.
It is. It's
a really great song.
No, I agree. But yeah, no, I get your point though that Madonna's pretty irritating these days.
And I do like it's one place I've never been to before. I have friends who have been there, but I do one day. I do want to go to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I will make it an intention when I do go to the Baseball Hall of Fame that I will go through the wing. That they have dedicated to them, because there is a real wing in the Baseball Hall of Fame dedicated to the ladies of baseball.
I can admit I'm very embarrassed. I have not been to Cooperstown yet.
I've never been to Cooperstown.
I've got to go.
The Baseball Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame are two places that are on my list to go.
Nice.
Yeah, I've never been yet.
Bucket list.
So, yep. But that was my number one. Was The League of Their Own.
That was a great number one. That is such an all-timer classic that I'm glad one of us brought it up, because it had to be brought up. So
yeah.
Nice.
I agree. So let's get into some of our honorable mentions then that we have. And I'll turn it over to you. What are a couple of the ones that you have on your list?
All right. So the first one I have, it was the other one in the three-way tie for number 5, and that's 8 Men Out.
It's a good one. Yeah.
With the story of the 1919 Black Sox scandal. Such great players. You got Merle Dixon in it. You have Anthony Cooper, so John Locke's father on Lost. He is one of the bookies, as is Christopher Lloyd, our favorite Doc Brown.
Yep.
DB Sweeney as Shoeless Joe Jackson. John Cusack in a fantastic role as Buck Weaver. And again, Charlie Sheen playing baseball. I'll watch that all day long. But, the reason I didn't put it on my list is because there's no happiness in that movie.
It's all scandal. It's all
scandal. The baseball players, they don't get paid the money. They throw the games. They get kicked out of baseball, even though they're found not guilty. The owners are still getting fat, dumb, and happy, and the bookies are fine. They're not. They're walking as well. Nobody wins except for arguably the bad guys. So it's one of those I'm really happy I've seen. I'll watch it every now and then. But if I'm in the mood for a baseball movie, I'm not throwing this one on, because it's so difficult and just so painful.
Yeah, I gotcha. I'll throw out one of mine. You mentioned, actually, I'll throw out two of mine in very quick succession, because we've kind of talked about them already a little bit. We mentioned those ties are the ones that were in rotation to possibly make it Rookie of the Year. The other two on mine were The Sandlot and Angels in the Outfield. I mean, these are both great movies that take me back to my childhood. The Sandlot, you play ball like a girl is a constant line that I throw out there a lot. And with Angels in the Outfield, it's just a great, heartwarming story. You mentioned Christopher Lloyd already. We got that. You got Tony Danza. You've got a very early Matthew McConaughey.
Yes.
In Angels in the Outfield.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Donald Glover.
Danny Glover?
Danny Glover. I did it too.
Know. I never know.
But, it ends in such a heartwarming way with, Danny Glover's character being somebody who just was old and curmudgeonly and wanted nothing to do with kids, ending up growing such a bond with these two kids, and to the point where he adopts them and brings them into his family. And it's just so heartwarming, and I love that movie so much. I love both of them. They're both great.
Amen. I love it too. And, my friend Danny Gerbich, he's my Phillies ride or die guy. And with this last postseason, we were talking about our superstitions and stuff like that. And I had told him, Kara washed one of my jerseys before the last game of the NLDS, and I was kind of freaking out. And he's like, "Hey man, there's no help in clinching games. You got to do that all on your own." And it really calmed me down. And I don't know why, but that's always stuck out that luck has nothing to do with the final game of the season. You either win it on your merits or you don't. And we get that from Angels in the Outfield. I love that movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. When you said that she washed her jersey, I was like, oh man, and you're still with her?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she's my ride or die too. She just let me watch 13 baseball movies in the last week. So, I got a good one on my on my roster here. And then The Sandlot. I mean, that's every kid, whether it be S'mores, whether it be Wendy Peppercorn, whether it be You're Killing Me Smalls. Everyone has seen that movie. It is a classic coming of age baseball tale. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed completely. What's another one on your list?
So this is another one that is so bad it's good, and it stars Brendan Fraser. It's called The Scout.
The Scout.
The Scout.
It's Brendan Fraser and
Albert Brooks.
Albert Brooks. Yep.
Albert Brooks.
Yeah.
So this is one I could not find streaming because it's so bad it's good. But I remember just having such a blast with this film. Early Brendan Fraser, when he's in that carefree, lovable comedic role, is fantastic. And he plays Steve Nebraska really, really well. And towards the end of the film, when he gets overtaken by his own anxiety attack, you really feel for him in that. The reason I could not put it in my top 5 is I will never believe that a major league player in their major league debut throws 81 pitches, gets 27 strikeouts, and pitches a perfect game. I can't allow that to happen. But I love that movie. That is one of my all-time favorite movies.
That's great.
Fraser. Yes.
Oscar award winning actor Brendan Fraser.
Absolutely. It wasn't Albert Brooks.
Well, I mean, it could have been worse. You could have chosen Ed with Matt LeBlanc and a gorilla or a monkey.
That one was awful.
Yeah, that one.
I have a high penchant for stupidity. That one's just so bad.
Yeah, it's. I love Matt LeBlanc. It is. That's a bad movie.
It ain't episode.
That's a pretty bad movie.
It is.
Another one of mine. Another one of my honorable mentions is actually a Disney one. It's The Rookie with Dennis Quaid.
Nice.
It stars Dennis Quaid, obviously, as the lead. Brian Cox, who was also in For Love of the Game.
Yep.
And Rick Gonzalez, who is a guy I've moderated a number of panels with. And Jay Hernandez, who is currently Magnum PI.
Nice. Oh,
actually, no longer Magnum PI. Actually, the show just wrapped.
No, he was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Wow. Okay. Oh, that's a good pick.
Yeah. So it's been a while since I had seen it. It was on my list of movies I wanted to rewatch in preparation for this, along with For Love of the Game, that I just never got to before we recorded.
Absolutely.
So
my next honorable mention is actually a documentary. So I didn't know.
Oh, I wonder if it's the same one I have on my honorable mentions.
Ooh, is it 4 Days in October?
No. No, we have different documentaries.
Even better.
Right?
All right. So 4 Days in October is one of the ESPN 30 for 30 movies. And it chronicles the I think the year was 2004, Red Sox. They were down to the Yankees 3-0 in the ALCS. No team has ever come back from that. It was the Red Sox. They were still dealing with the curse of the Bambino. No one expected them to do anything. And over 4 days, they came back and they kicked the Yankees' ass. And then they went on.
You had me at kicking the Yankees' ass.
I mean, a lot of these movies, it's surprising that the Yankees were the bad guy in it. But it's also not surprising at all.
No, it's really not.
Speaking of which, until I watched 42 this evening, I was hanging my hat on the fact that the Phillies were never the bad guy in one of these movies. And then I watched 42. I'm like, damn.
And Alan Tudyk turns out to be a racist asshole.
Hey, Alan Tudyk, do me a favor. Don't take that role. Let someone else take that role. Let Chad Michael Murray take that role or something.
Do you know what? You know what's so? Oh God! Do you know what's so funny too? Is in watching 42 today, again similar to you, and seeing him in that role, it made me realize that sometimes, like I'm able to separate the actor from the role, and like if you see them play like a real scumbag of a character, I'm able to be like, okay, I know they're not really that bad, but that was one role that I was like even this is a little cringeworthy. Like I know he's not that person, but this is kind of hard to watch.
It's really hard to watch, and thankfully Alan Tudyk had like panic attacks over it. He hated that character. He hated saying the lines. He hated everything about it, but he understood the importance of having that scene. But no, I agree. Thank God Alan Tudyk has built up so much goodwill so that by the time I saw him in this, I'm like, it's okay. He's still the guy from A Knight's Tale. You know, he's still the guy from Resident Alien. Like it's still Alan
and
Tudyk.
Resident Alien is back, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, what's funny too is, you know, you mentioned him having the anxiety attacks playing that role. Like I've heard other stories of other actors, like Leonardo DiCaprio, for example, was really uncomfortable saying the N-word as much as he was for Django.
Yes.
And it was actually Jamie Foxx that was like, no, say it. Like it needs the gravitas. The word needs to be heard.
Yes.
You know, for it to have that kind of impact, even though Leonardo DiCaprio was very uncomfortable with it. And then another story that I just recently found out, maybe I'm a massive Back to the Future fan. And I've met almost the entire cast of the movie, including Michael, who I just met this past year. But Tom Wilson, who I've met a number of times, I actually heard Tom Wilson tell a story in the original Back to the Future, in the scene at the end where he's supposed to kind of be very rapey towards Lorraine. He hated that.
Wow.
Because Tom is actually a very nice guy in person, and he knew Leah Thompson, how nice and sweet she was. He hated having to do that role. Like so much so that he would get sick on set, having to be like kind of rapey towards her.
Wow.
And every time, and Leah Thompson had even said too, in rebuttal to like him admitting this, that she would like constantly say, like every time they would cut, she would constantly like have to be like, no, like he would apologize to her, be like, no, it's okay. Like we're just acting. Like you're not really this person. Like I know you're not this person. So, but yeah, so taking it back to Tudyk, I was so cringy and uncomfortable watching him.
Oh, I
in that
hated
scene.
it, man. I hated it so damn much because it was so visceral, and it was hearing that word over and over and over and over and over and over and over, like fuck. Which is their point. It's supposed to make us uncomfortable. It's supposed to help us understand more of what that must have been like. But god damn, that sucked.
Yeah. So I'm just going to throw out the rest of mine, and then because I do have a documentary on mine as well.
Yes.
I mentioned The Rookie. Obviously, we talked about 42. 42 is, after seeing it for the first time today, in my honorable mentions. Can't talk about baseball without talking about the Bad News Bears, the original, not the remake.
Amen, brother.
The original with Walter Matthau is the best.
Yes.
Bull Durham, which we talked about before as well. But my final honorable mention is similar to you, is a documentary, which is why I kind of got excited when you said you had one too. No, mine was a Netflix documentary from 2014 called The Battered Bastards of Baseball.
Ooh.
And it is written, it's not written by, or maybe it is written by or not, but it is by Kurt Russell, because it is a true story about how his father, Bing, in 1973 started an independent minor league baseball team in Portland. And it was a team made up entirely of outcasts, of baseball outcasts. These were a group of people that nobody wanted. And he formed this team, and he brought these players onto this team, and they basically became an overnight success.
That's awesome.
So very similar to kind of like Moneyball and Major League. This was a real life kind of. This was a real life kind of underdog story, but involves the Russells because it was Kurt's father that was the one that created the team.
All right, so now I know what I'm watching after we get off.
It is a fantastic documentary.
That's
and
awesome.
It's about an hour and 20 minutes, so it's
That's
not like
manageable.
too long.
Yeah, that's digestible.
But yeah, it's a fantastic documentary.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I think his father had passed away by the time the documentary was made, but his mother is in it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
his mother is in the. She's very heavily in the documentary.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, it's a great documentary.
I'm gonna have to check that out. The only honorable mention I have left isn't even a movie, but it's a TV show that people need to know about. It's called Brockmire.
Hank Azaria.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is one of the most irreverent but hilarious baseball things to ever exist. And I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but that was such a fun show. Brockmire is fantastic. It's about a foul-mouthed, cantankerous announcer who bounces all the way out of MLB around the world and is trying to bring his career back from the minor leagues. And it's laugh out loud funny every single episode.
Yeah, I've seen a couple episodes of it. I haven't seen the entire series, but I've seen bits and pieces of it, so I can attest that's worth the watch.
Nice. Yes, it is. It is definitely worth it.
And it's Hank Azaria. I mean, Hank Azaria is just, he's
100%,
great.
100%.
Any final notes on any of these lists or honorable mentions that we have put together?
No, I think it's amazing that neither of us had The Natural on our list.
Oh, right.
I've never seen it. So that's why
it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Right. So that was the one, yesterday I was like, oh man, I wonder if he's just going to have all these classic movies I've never seen, like Pride of the Yankees, Damn Yankees, The Natural. And I'm just going to have nothing to contribute. So thank God it didn't go down that route. But I am surprised neither of us had The Natural on our list.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen The Natural, so I didn't feel comfortable enough.
That's fair.
Putting it. I mean, it has one of the most iconic movie baseball scenes in the shattering of the lights.
100%.
It's such an iconic scene. It's just it's been so long that I was like, I can't put it in my top 5 without a rewatch, and I just didn't have time to rewatch it.
No, that's fair. Another one that I'm really happy didn't make your list because it's not a baseball movie, and I fought at least 3 different people about this. Basketball.
Okay. I love that movie.
I adore that movie, but it's not baseball.
It's not a baseball movie.
It's basketball.
It's its own thing.
Damn right. It's a parody movie up there with The Blazing Saddles and it's a sports parody movie.
But I mean, even the sport itself is something different. It's not. True. It's not baseball and it's not basketball.
Correct.
It's a hybrid, and it would not count as a baseball movie.
No, I agree, and I'm so happy that because enough people said it to me. I'm like, you guys realize that's not a baseball movie, right? That's a completely different sport. So I was very happy that that stayed off.
No, I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
Love that movie.
Yes.
Actually, that's a movie that probably is in good rotation with movies that because everybody has that list of movies that they'll watch if they're just looking for something to watch. Like a comfort. Tommy Boy is one of mine as well. There's those comfort movies. Anchorman is one for me. Movies you've seen so many times that you don't really need to watch them. Just being on is kind of enough for you. Basketball is one of those movies for me.
100% agreed. 100%. Yeah. It's a great movie, just not a baseball movie.
But now that we're done talking about these baseball movies, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you want the time, you can not take the time if you don't want to. But anything that you have on your end that you want to promote, is there anything out there that you might be watching or reading or playing that you want people to know about? This is... I give it to all my guests. This is your time now. This is your couple minutes to just do you and do what you want to do.
All right, this is the one thing I did not prepare for, so let's see how this goes.
Off the cuff, it's fine.
Off the cuff. So, 2 areas that I went to do a lot of research for what I had today was tvtropes.org. It's a great site. I use it all the time when I'm going through something. They have a lot of tidbits and a lot of trivia that's helpful. And then I was also listening to a podcast called the Rewatchables podcast on the Ringer Network by Bill Simmons. They did a lot of baseball movies. They have a ton of movies on there. So, those are two things that I kind of wanted to promote. Watch Avatar: The Last Airbender when it comes out in 2 weeks or whenever it is.
I'm pretty stoked for that.
It's going to be fantastic. It looks so much better than the M. Night Shyamalan version. And if you've seen the cartoon, it's one of the best pieces of kids cartoon world building I've ever seen. So highly recommend if you're into that. Check it out. Check out the live action Avatar. You got
it had me at Daniel Day Kim. I'm not going to lie.
Darn right it did. And Danny Pudi is in it. So.
Oh, Danny Pudi is in it too?
Darn tootin' he is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, buddy. He's the machinist at the Earth Kingdom. So yes, it's going to be a great time.
All right.
Yeah, and then other than that, be the change that you want to see in the world today. I always try to leave it on a positive note and with a little bit of I don't know, inspiration or just something to take with you. Just be the change you want to see in the world today.
I'm going to ask you a question to wrap this up too, because it's something I've been curious about throughout this entire conversation, and I actually meant to ask you at the top, and I forgot. Have you podcasted before?
You popped my cherry. This was my very first podcast.
Really?
Yes, of my life. So
okay, yeah. I want to say then, on that note, I'm glad I saved this question for the end. Then you have a very naturalistic way of doing it. Like it didn't seem like this was your first time on a podcast.
I cannot tell you how much anxiety I've been going through over the last 3 days, because this is always something that I've kind of wanted to do. I enjoy talking about things. I don't think I'm an expert on literally anything. So I think for right now in my life, being a guest made sense. But man, way to give me a chance and to not do any homework on me and to just hope that I was going to be engaging enough. So thank you. This was
man.
This was a dream come true, just to be on a podcast and talk about movies and stuff.
Not a problem. And I appreciate you saying that. And look, I've said this to people before. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And everybody needs that. People took chances on me and, when it came to panel moderating and interviewing and stuff like that. And I like returning that opportunity. Every opportunity that I get, you're not the first person that's been on that has never been on a podcast before. You probably won't be the last. But like I said, I didn't need to research you before inviting you on. You just seemed like you had a passion for wanting to talk about, but you really wanted to talk about these baseball movies. And to me, that was enough.
Awesome.
You engaged in conversation. You didn't stay quiet and just kind of let me do the talking. You contributed to it. So for this being your first time ever on a podcast, you were fantastic. You were great.
Oh, and I smile. Thank you, man. That is fantastic. I'm really proud of myself. I didn't put in too many unnecessary pop culture references, which is something I do way too much in daily life, having grown up on SNL and Family Guy. So, thank you. This was a lot of fun, man. This was a great time. Thank you so much.
No, not a problem. You are welcome back on anytime in the future. To be part of other top 5 topics or movie breakdowns or debates or whatever it is we do, because there's so much we do on this podcast now. You are more than welcome back anytime. But before we go into the Wilhelm post-credit, just thank you again for coming on and being a part of this.
Thanks for having me, man. This was dream come true.
Yeah, glad I could help out with that.
Awesome.
With that being said, stick around, guys, because we're going right into the Wilhelm post-credit.
Welcome in to another Wilhelm post-credit after a great episode. Special thanks once again to Alex Kruger for coming on, when he did. This was an episode we recorded a couple weeks ago because I was getting ahead of things, and apologies once again for the audio quality on my end, but Alex was fantastic. I mean, I can't really overstate that enough. He was someone I would have never assumed this was his first podcast. And, he has since said to me, he's thanked me a number of times for coming on, even though I thank him just as much. And he is actually launching his own podcast. Him and a friend of his are going to be doing a baseball podcast. I believe based on the Phillies organization, it might be more generalized to baseball. I'm not exactly sure. but, you know, he's been asking me questions about it, and he said that I'm a big inspiration for that. And, you know, I want to put this out there. While I appreciate that, you know, I told Alex this, and I'll tell all my listeners this as well. Being behind a microphone, whether it's on this podcast or guesting on somebody else's podcast, or it's on the Revisited podcast with Kristen, or it's during conducting an interview, or it's on stage moderating a panel, being behind a microphone for me it's a happy place. It is a place where, as somebody who suffers from anxiety and depression at times, you know, it is the one place where all of my worries kind of melt away. There's no really other issues that are happening in the world. It is a comfortable zone for me. So while I appreciate people who have said, like, oh, you know, and it doesn't happen often, so I don't want to make it seem like this is a big deal. And it happens all the time, you know, but when somebody says, you know, hey, like, I appreciate you, and, you know, because of you, you got me into podcasting. I love it. And I'm very humbled by it, but I'm happy to do it. Podcasting to me is not, nor should it ever be, a competition. Podcasting is a community. It is a group of people getting together to share thoughts and ideas and creativity, no matter what form that you create your podcast in, or your venture into, your audio, your video, whatever it is. It's a community. No, it should never be a competition. And if I'm able to help someone find their footing into it, or get started into it, even if they don't continue with it, but they try it, and they try experimenting with that creativity, and it could possibly lead them into finding their happy place or their comfort zone one way or another, then I'm happy to do it, and I will continue to do it as much as possible. So thank you, Alex, for those kind words. Thank you to anybody out there who has also shared those words with me, or might feel that way about myself, or another podcaster, or another creator, content creator. If you feel that way about somebody else out there who has gotten you to that point where you're willing to try it on your own, that's fantastic. And I applaud that. And I appreciate it. And I think it's great. But good luck to Alex with his podcasting ventures on his own, now that he's going to be continuing with it. And he'll be back on Wilhelm. I have no doubts he'll be back out on Wilhelm. And if you guys listening right now want to join me on this podcast, easiest ways to do it, go to wilhelmpodcast.com. There you'll find links on where you can listen, subscribe, leave feedback. You can find the links to the Facebook page, to the Instagram pages, and you can leave me comments there. If you're ever interested, send me a message on Facebook or on Instagram letting me know that you're interested, or very simply, also contact me directly. feedback@wilhelmpodcast.com. That is where you can go to send any comments, concerns, or in particular, in this case, feedback for the podcast, in which, let me tell you, I'm blown away for this episode. We got so much feedback this episode for this podcast. So many people love baseball movies, and rightfully so. They're fantastic. So let's go through them. Let's get to some of your feedback before we do the last minute flourishes and such, and we get out of here. So let's try and go through these, because there's quite a bit, and I can't wait to read some of these, because I don't read them ahead of time for the most part, because I like to be kind of engaged in this, as if this is a conversation and I'm hearing your thoughts for the first time. So starting off first, Kristen Mann, she says for her feedback, I want to preface this by saying too, I posted out there on social media, on Facebook and on Instagram, on the Facebook page, on the Instagram page, and in the Facebook group. There is a Facebook group specifically for feedback and review, that if you want to be a part of it, I will post a link on the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Wilhelm Podcast. And I posted the question out there: what are some of your favorite baseball movies and why? Some of you missed the why part, but that's okay. You listed off just some of your movies. But starting off again with Kristen Mahan, she says, A League of Their Own, no explanation needed. 100% agree. If you listen to the conversation, you know that's my number one as well. Ralph Kett says, For the Love of the Game. Kevin Costner, great movie. Mentioned in our conversation as well. I haven't seen that movie in a while. I need to go back and rewatch that movie. Keith Bowerman says, I loved the Bad News Bears because it was so subversive. And also, as a kid, that's the first time I remembered thinking that I wish I could have been a part of that team. Great movie. Great reason for picking that movie. Not going to lie. I mean, I played baseball as a kid. Wish I could have been better, but I did it. Jamie Dimmick says, The Sandlot, A League of Their Own, and 61. 61 is one I don't think we mentioned at all in the conversation. Maybe we did. Aaron Eckhart and a number of great other actors. It is a fantastic movie. I highly recommend that one as well. Sean Pallas, A League of Their Own, Field of Dreams, Rookie of the Year, and The Sandlot. 3 out of the 4 of those were in my top 5 list. So thank you, Sean. Denise Evangelisto Outerton, Moneyball. It is so interesting to see how they go about building the team. I 100% agree that Moneyball was in my top 5, and you know, it's a scientific baseball movie, if that makes sense, because math and mathematics is science. So scientific baseball movie, it works. Sarah Gear says, A League of Their Own. I played softball for 15 years, and I watched this movie with my grandmother. Anytime you can connect watching a movie with a family member, and you can build that connection, that's amazing. So I completely get that. And A League of Their Own is a great one to do it with. Daphne Backman, one of the hosts of the Run for Your Lives podcast on Podcastica. She says, Fever Pitch. I'm not surprised being up in New England. Fever Pitch for obvious reasons. It came out after the Red Sox won the World Series for the first time in 86 years, and it was commemorated in the movie. It was a magical time for sure. Now, I'm sure Daphne knows this, but I don't know if anybody else knows this who has ever seen Fever Pitch. It's the Jimmy Fallon, Drew Barrymore movie. She mentions in her feedback, it came out after the Red Sox won the World Series for the first time in 86 years, and it's commemorated in the movie. The very interesting part of that, for anybody who doesn't know, is that when they started filming the movie, the Red Sox had yet to win the series. They were still on that 86 long year streak of losing, and they happened to be in the playoffs and enter into the World Series after production had ended on the movie. But when the Red Sox made it to the World Series, they decided to actually send Jimmy and Drew to the final game of the World Series. So that commemoration that you see at the end of that movie of the Red Sox winning the World Series was all real. It was 100% real footage. Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore were in the audience for that, and they filmed it because they wanted to be there in case they won and to use it in the movie, and they did, which was really, really cool. I haven't seen that movie in the longest time, but that is one thing I do remember about that movie. Michael Sullivan, Summer Catch, Jessica Biel in a bikini, need I say more? Freddie Prinze Jr., also great. Hoping to see him as a real-life Kanan. Man, I'd love to see him return to that role in Ahsoka or any other Star Wars property. That would be fantastic. Summer Catch is one I haven't seen in a while, but it's a good catch. No pun intended. AJ Stockton, one of my con buddies. A League of Their Own. The cast is so strong. Women's baseball should have taken off, and it didn't, and it's a shame. Can't argue. Can't argue with that. Great movie. And like I said during a conversation with Alex, at some point when I get to the Baseball Hall of Fame, I'm going to make sure I go to that wing because I want to pay respect. Nathan Moreau. I would have to go The Natural, A League of Their Own, Major League, The Sandlot, and Field of Dreams. Honorable mentions to Moneyball and 8 Men Out. There's so many other baseball movies out there with similar stories to my top 5, but I consider those the best. And I can't argue with you. League of Their Own, Major League, and Field of Dreams, all in my top 5. So, you know, 8 Men Out's a good one too. That's a classic. That's one people need to go back and revisit if they can. Damian Vitale. Wow, Moneyball is up there. I love the classics like Major League and Field of Dreams. 8 Men Out is a good sleeper, great cast, and gives awesome insight to the early beginnings of baseball before players were paid to play. Again, 8 Men Out. It's getting mentioned a lot, and well, not a lot, but a couple times. So worth checking out for anybody that likes baseball movies that maybe haven't seen it yet. Chad Smith, one of my old Next Level buddies. Rookie of the year, because I think most 10, 12-year-olds dream of being a professional athlete at least once. I brought that up during the podcast. Little Big League, because the only thing better than being a player, being an owner. Can't disagree with that. And finally, Angels in the Outfield, because it's the kind of movie that could give a cynic hope. I could see that. I could see that for sure. Stephanie Ann says A League of Their Own. Came out when I was 12 and I saw it in the theater. The 80s girls were blessed with strong female role models on TV and in film. The story was inspiring, it was hilarious and touching, really unforgettable. Someone else also mentioned this, but my friend and I still quote, "There's no crying in baseball," to this day. I got her a t-shirt with that quote as a gift this last Christmas. I mentioned that line to announce my number one as A League of Their Own being number one. I thought I was clever. I thought I was being clever. Maybe you're wrong, or maybe I was wrong. Maybe you disagree. I thought I was being clever in the way I announced my number one. Paul Williams says, so many of my faves have already been mentioned here. Major League, fuck you, Jobu. A League of Their Own, There's No Crying in Baseball, and the Kevin Costner double bill of Bull Durham and Field of Dreams. I'd also add Cobb to that list, being that A, I'm a Tigers fan, and B, Tommy Lee Jones. And bear with me here, but I'm adding a strange one to this list, The Warriors from 1979. I mean, come on now. How can you not love the Baseball Furies? Leave it to Paul to find that kind of outlier to throw into his feedback. I mean, this one's pretty traditional for Paul because Paul's a huge horror fan. So anytime I ask for like favorite Christmas movies or, anything, he always throws in those really obscure but great references. Baseball's pretty traditional, but he still found a way in throwing in the Warriors. I mean, come on. That's Paul to a T. Kelly Williams Palumbi. Field of Dreams, not just my favorite baseball movie, but quite possibly my all-time favorite movie. I love it for the same reasons described in the movie, the baseball memories it brings back. After my father passed, the movie became that much more special to me. My father taught me to catch, hit, play the game, and we watched the Phillies play together. The part where he asked his dad to have a catch breaks me every time. I mentioned it during the conversation. I watched Field of Dreams for the first time most recently, and that ending with playing catch with his father, that's a get you moment. That's one that'll make you emotional. So I see that. Jillian Moreau says, A League of Their Own. This movie got me into playing baseball as a little girl and eventually led to playing softball. It's a classic, and I still watch it whenever it's on. So many great quotes, amazing cast, and overall, just a fantastic movie. Rookie of the Year was always a favorite as well. I just loved the story of this superstar kid getting to play in the big leagues and all the things that came along with that, especially the challenges as a kid. And then for pure comedy, Major League was such a good time. Always makes me laugh. Oh, and honorable mention to The Rookie with Dennis Quaid, also a great story. All great picks. Rookie of the Year I love. The Rookie, I mentioned that in my honorable mentions as well. That's just a great one to go back and revisit. Dennis Quaid's fantastic in that movie. Jamie Holland's Palace says A League of Their Own. The cast was amazing. I loved the humor, the seriousness, and the emotion of it all. My favorite part is when Gina Davis's character catches a throw from Rosie O'Donnell's character barehanded. So badass. We still quote Tom Hanks's famous line, "There's no crying in baseball." I don't know if there's anybody out there that doesn't quote that movie or that line. She goes on to say, The Sandlot. Other than being a great movie, I think it's a bit nostalgic for me because my sister and I used to wander around town growing up, heading to friends' houses, including mine. Funny enough, that's also true. Going to the park, playing on playgrounds, playing pickup games of sports with friends. I also played softball growing up. I love that. In the movie, the kids of all different ability levels play the game with each other. They look out for each other, they give each other a hard time, and they have scuffles, but support each other anyway. And to see them all grown up at the end and be successful in their own ways is always a nice touch. And then, of course, there's another quotable line, "You're killing me, Smalls." Yeah, Jamie and I grew up together, so that hits just her feedback hits a little bit of nostalgia when she says heading to friends' houses, including mine, because that's true. I used to hang out with Jamie and her sister quite a bit when back in the day. Barbie Allen says A League of Their Own seems to be a popular choice. I loved Gina Davis and Lori Petty as sisters and teammates. They were so good at communicating their competitiveness with each other and their sisterly bond. Tom Hanks was great. I loved his character arc from belligerent, drunk, cranky coach to somewhat less belligerent, drunk, cranky coach. Hell, well, she says heck, but heck, even Madonna was good in it. Also, Field of Dreams. I don't care if it's corny or sentimental. I love the story and the performances by Ray Liotta, Burt Lancaster, and especially James Earl Jones. When Terrence Mann and Ray realized they had the same vision, and Terrence is finally on board with Ray's crazy idea, I get chills even now. Both are good comfort movies I could watch anytime. Can't disagree with that one bit, and especially the heck, even Madonna was good in it. I'm not a big Madonna fan, but she's great. She's great in The League of Their Own. I can't deny it. I can't deny it one bit. And finally, after all this feedback, we have one more, and that comes from Mark Kirkman. He says, Major League. Definitely an influence on the Ted Lasso show for at least season 1 of that show. But I always loved the humor and the actors within the movie. Where else would you find Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, Corbin Burnson, Wesley Snipes, Margaret Whitten, Rene Russo, Bob Uecker, and James Gammon in one movie? It was the underdogs that were set up to fail, and in the end, to prove the corporate evildoers wrong by getting along and winning people over as well as the game. The movie is fun, and we love the characters and their quick quotes, like hats for bats, from Dennis Haysbert as Serrano Pedro Serrano, but you get the point. It might be outdated with its jokes and how it objectifies women, but take it with a grain of salt and set your analytical points of what is PC this day and age aside, and just have fun with it. I can't agree with you more. And Mark, as somebody who I mentioned on the podcast, recently rewatched both of those movies. The male chauvinism is definitely there, but the jokes aren't outdated. I don't find them outdated at all. I still think they're funny. I still think they're just a lot of fun. And as Alex and I mentioned, Bob Uecker, man, come on. Like, he makes those movies. Those movies would not have been the same without Bob Uecker. But thank you to everybody for all of that amazing feedback. I really hope going forward with future episodes, you guys are going to continue to send in that feedback and be a part of this conversation. That's all part of this. This is why I do the feedback, because I want you guys, even if you're not on the podcast, I want you to be part of the podcast. So let me just reiterate, if you want to leave feedback for me for any episodes, whether it's a past one I did, or one that's coming up, follow on the socials, facebook.com/Wilhelm Podcast or instagram.com/Wilhelm Podcast. You'll see those posts pop up for upcoming episodes, and there you can comment and leave your feedback, or email directly, feedback@wilhelmpodcast.com, and I will use it. If you email, actually, you can even record yourself in a voicemail and send it, and I'll play the voicemail instead of reading it on the podcast. I've had people do that in the past, and it works out great sometimes. Actually, not sometimes. It works out great anytime anybody does it. But, of course, also go to wilhelmpodcast.com to find links on where to listen, subscribe, and all of that fun stuff. As for what's coming for Wilhelm, the next episode you're going to hear, the Oscars, are this weekend. They are this Sunday, and we are doing our annual Oscar prediction episode again with Paik and Brandy. They are returning. We're going to be recording that Thursday night. It's going to be dropping Friday morning. That will be Friday, March 8th, since the ceremony is on March 10th, and we're going to go through the major categories of the Oscars, best picture, best actor, supporting actress, actress. We're not going to dive too deep into like documentary and stuff like that, but we're going to go through each category, and we're going to tell you which ones are our favorites of the category and which ones we predict are going to win at the Oscars. And then you can tune into the Oscars and see how close we were and who did better in their predictions. So that one will be dropping this Friday, March 8th. And then the following Monday, you are going to get another panel. I just released this past Monday my panel with Peter Cullen, a.k.a. the voice of Optimus Prime, which is a very special panel to me, and that's why I did that one first. If you haven't heard that episode is already dropped. You can check the feed, and that's there. That was from Fan Expo Philadelphia. But this coming Monday, I'm going to be dropping my audio with my panel from Christy Swanson, aka the original OG Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This was at Contropolis, New Jersey last year. This was another great panel that I did one-on-one with Christy. So you're going to hear the audio of that this coming Monday. And then the following Monday, we did another top 5, and it is top 5 movies that you'll never outgrow. This was a fun one. And I had another first timer. My friend Mike Gianfrancisco, who is the program director for Altered Reality and all of those shows, including Contropolis, New Jersey, where I moderated the panel with Christy Swanson. He's never been on the podcast before, but he joined me for that one. And there will be a feedback post for that, so you guys can contribute to that one as well. You can probably look for that dropping on social media next week. So you can keep an eye out for that and let me know what some of those movies are for you as well. In addition to that, I mentioned the cons, Contropolis, New Jersey, Altered Reality. My con schedule is already filling up and I can't wait. So just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up as to where you can find me in person, walking around covering shows and moderating panels. And if you end up coming to any of these that I'm going to list, please find me. If you see me, say hi. Let me know that you're a listener, and, we'll take pictures or do whatever you want to do. But coming up first, May 3rd through May 5th, you can find me at Fan Expo Philadelphia at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I don't know what any of my panels are for any of these shows yet, but they're bound to be interesting. They always are. And after that, you can find me back up in Rhode Island, June 15th, June 16th for AnimeCon, Rhode Island AnimeCon. That's at the Rhode Island Convention Center in Providence, Rhode Island. In July, I'm going to be back to Contropolis, New Jersey, July 13th and 14th in Secaucus, New Jersey at the Meadowlands Exposition Center. Following that, I'm going to be heading out west a little bit to the Colorado Broadmoor World Arena in Colorado Springs, Colorado, August 23rd through the 25th for Colorado Springs Comic-Con. I'm so excited to return to Colorado. It's been years since I've been in Colorado, and I'm looking forward to seeing some old friends out there and making some new ones. It's going to be fun. September 27th through the 29th, I'm going to be in Marlborough, Massachusetts at the Royal Plaza Trade Center for TerrorCon. Horror-themed convention. Can't wait for this one. Wasn't able to attend last year, but I'm so excited for this one. And then finally, November 3rd through November 5th, back to Providence, Rhode Island and the Rhode Island Convention Center. It's the Super Bowl of all shows. It is the biggest show of the year in the smallest state. It is the return of Rhode Island Comic-Con. People, let me just tell you, if you get to any of these shows, or you're only able to get to one, go to Rhode Island Comic-Con. It is huge. Last year was my first year there. I was blown away. The Altered Reality team, who I now get to work, I have the great pleasure of working with. They are an exceptional team of people. They are just so good at putting together shows for people. All these other shows, AnimeCon, Contropolis, Colorado Springs, TerrorCon, these are all Altered Reality shows. You're going to find the same level of commitment at all of these shows. But Rhode Island is huge. It's so big, so many great guests. Try to get to as many of these shows as possible, but if you can only make one, make Rhode Island it. It's going to be great. So that's where you can find me throughout the year as far as shows go. And I'll be floating to different things as well. Things that I'll just be attending and not working with. But I think that just about wraps it up for this episode of Wilhelm. Thank you guys so much for leaving all the feedback that you did, for listening to this, for sharing the podcast. Share the podcast. Word of mouth is the best way to advertise for this. So please share the podcast if you can. Tell your friends about it, especially if they're movie fans, if they're cinephiles. Let them know about the podcast. Let them know they can contribute to it and be a part of it. In addition to that, I've been talking about the Patreon. The Patreon is coming this month, I promise you. And that is a way that you can help support the podcast. And there's going to be some great incentives for you to do it and things that you can win and drawings. Tickets to some of these shows. I've been talking about that. I'm going to offer tickets and passes to some of these shows like Rhode Island Comic-Con and Contropolis and TerrorCon and all these shows. I'm going to be there, so why not bring you into it? And being part of the Patreon is ways that you can earn or win ways into doing that. So keep an eye out for that, and hopefully you guys will contribute to that. DVD giveaways, Blu-ray giveaways, gift card giveaways. I'm going to be doing all of that stuff, so keep an eye out for that. But I think that is going to be it. I think that is how I'm going to wrap up this podcast. Please, if you enjoy what you hear, go to wherever it is that you listen to the podcast, leave a review. It really helps me out. But until next time, thank you guys so much for being a part of this community. I will see you guys on another episode of Wilhelm. Take care.